Welcome back, Truth Seeker. May 15th, 2019. We have 2 playoff games today. A lot of baseball going on. And we have the PGA Championship beginning tomorrow, Thursday. So, Game 1, Toronto Raptors at Milwaukee Bucks, Eastern Conference Finals. The date numerology, 59, which is the 17th prime number, 32, and 23, which is the 9th prime number. And right now the Raptors are 8-4 in the 2019 playoffs. If they did lose today, they'd be 8-5, kind of like 85, that big basketball number. They're 3-2 away on the season. The Raptors for the season are 66-28. They're 29-17 away. Now remember, we have the 59 date, the 17th prime. The Raptors could potentially stay at 17 away losses. And they could get their 30th win. Game 1 does equal 30, but as does Game 2. So I have a feeling they're going to split these first 2 games. You could make an argument for Game 1 or Game 2 in terms of the 30. The Bucks are 8-1 in the 2019 playoffs, and they're 4-1 at home. The Bucks are 68-23 for the season. We have a 23-date numerology. They could stay at 23. If the Bucks win the series, they'll get to 72 wins on the season. Toronto does equal 72, the opponent. They have 37 home wins right now. Milwaukee equals 37. Their next win's going to be the 38th. And what's interesting about that is we saw how in the last series, the games were synced up with Kawhi Leonard and Giannis through the prime number relationship in regards to the distance from their birthday. Well, Game 2, the next game in Milwaukee will be Giannis' 163rd day of his age. That's the 38th prime number. The 38th prime. And if the Bucks lost Game 1, I think they'd be pretty much a lock to win Game 2 and pick up their 38th home win. Now, the one caution I got to say is the Raptors picked up their 63rd win in the last series before Kawhi Leonard's 307th birthday. 307 is the 63rd prime. But then when it was 307 days from Kawhi's birthday, they stayed at 63 wins. And then that's where the prime number relationship pattern began with Kawhi in that series. So what I'm saying is the Bucks don't necessarily have to get the win in Game 2, but it's looking like that's the more likely date to get it. If they did get it today, I imagine they would stay on 38 home wins on Giannis' 163rd day of his age. And the prime number relationships aren't going to line up with their birthdays in this series like they did the last series. Just the way the spacing works. So the Bucks are 118 and 131 in the playoffs. It's interesting that if you write out May 15th, it equals 132. If you write out Milwaukee, WI, it equals 132. They could get their 132nd playoff loss today. Not crazy about, making picks based on that, but there's already sort of reason to believe the Bucks might drop this game and pick it up in Game 2. The Bucks are 53-42 against the Raptors all time. And what's interesting about that is this will be the 96th game. The divisors of 42 sum to 96. If they could stay at 42 losses in their 96th game, it's a thought. Both cities are also on the 43rd parallel. I have a feeling this series is going to Game 7, be a 4-3 series. The Bucks are 2-4 in the playoffs against the Raptors. Remember, Bucks equals 34. Giannis wears the number 34. If they won today, they'd be 3-4. Just looking at the series ahead, the Raptors could also get their 38th home win on a date with 38 numerology in Game 4. So I'm thinking it looks like these teams are going to split in each other's home cities. It's just a matter of figuring out the sequence. But I'm thinking the Raptors have a good shot to lose Game 3 at home. So theoretically, if you sit out Game 1, I think you're going to get a good pick on Game 2, Game 3, and Game 4. Okay. Nick Nurse, his upcoming birthday's in 70 days, or a span of 71 days. Bucks haven't won the championship since 71. The Bucks coach, he's 25-23 in the playoffs. If he won today, he'd stay at 23 losses on the 23-date numerology. Something to consider about, this being a 7-game series, the Bucks are 2-6 in conference finals. If they won, they'd be 3-6. Remember, Toronto equals 36 in both reduction ciphers, a number we see a lot with Toronto. The Bucks are 0-1 in series versus the Raptors. If they won, they'd be 1-1. Bucks equals 11. The Bucks are 18-29 in playoff series, which means this is their 48th playoff series. They could get their 19th win in 2019 and advance to the finals. Again, they won the finals 48 years ago. Milwaukee Bucks equals 48. The Raptors are 0-1 in conference finals. Their argument is they could become 1-1 if they beat the Bucks. Bucks is 11. The Raptors are also 5-10 in playoff series. If they lost, they'd be 5-11, like how 11 is the fifth prime. We see that pairing a lot. So tight game. I think personally I would sit out this game, but if I was gonna bet it, I might take the Raptors to cover just because they have a narrative to win. But again, I think whatever happens this game, whoever wins this game will drop the next game. And then I think because of the way the numerology lines up with the next 2 games in Toronto, I think we can figure out games 3 and 4 as well. So unfortunately, there's no dead giveaway about tonight's stat. There's things that are interesting both ways. Like, for example, again, like how the Bucks could become 3-4 against the Raptors in the playoffs. Bucks 34. Their star player Giannis wears 34. He's been unstoppable. I don't know who Toronto has that can guard him. So thoughts there? Okay, Sharks and Blues. The Sharks have one narrative going against them tonight, and they have several going for them. The one narrative going against them is they're 2-4 away in the playoffs this year. If they lost, they would be 2-5. St. Louis equals 25. This game's in St. Louis. San Jose Sharks, St. Louis Blues. Just put it up here, the NHL, so we can look at that while I talk about this. Okay. So St. Louis, considerable favorite tonight. We got a 1-1 series. Sharks picked up that 55th win of the season on the 55-date numerology to start the series. That was a nice, clear read. But anyway, they're 2-4 away in the playoffs. If they lost, they'd be 2-5. St. Louis 25. That makes sense on the surface. But the Sharks have a lot going with the date numerology. Remember, the Blues have also struggled at home in the playoffs. They're 3-4 at home in the playoffs. They have a losing record. If they lost today, they'd pick up their 35th loss and become 3-5, 149 days after the coach's birthday, the 35th prime. But here's what it is. The Sharks are 58-72-2 against the Blues all time. They could get their 59th win on a 59 date. The Sharks are 31-36-1 away at the Blues, meaning they could get their 32nd win away at the Blues on a 32 date. Plus, they can get their 32nd away win of the season. Or no. That was a mistake. I take that back. So that's not correct. They can get their 32nd away win against the Blues all time on the 32 date and their 59th win on the 59 date. That would also give the Sharks their 17th all-time win in the playoffs against the Blues. 59, the 17th prime. Today seems like the perfect day to do it on the 59 date numerology. Okay. One other thing that could go against the Sharks, though, is for the season, they're 23-20 away. We do have a 23-date numerology. They could stay at 23 away wins. Sharks coach can get his 32nd playoff win with the Sharks today on the 32-date. Let's see. Again, the Blues coach, his last birthday was 149 days ago, the 35th prime. His team can get the 35th loss today. So that's going to be something to look for, because if that happens, his next birthday, or the next game, will be 151 days after his birthday, the 36th prime. And perhaps San Jose could go up 3-1. I fully expect San Jose to win this series. We've been talking about the Joe Thornton San Jose potential riddle. So the Sharks goalie can get his 32nd career win today on the 32 date as well. He could stay at 25 losses for the season in St. Louis. Let's see. The game is for the star player of the Sharks, his upcoming birthday. This is Tomas Hertl. His upcoming birthday is in 181 days, the 42nd prime. San Jose Sharks 42. The Sharks are currently 3-2 against the Blues on the season. Remember, this is the Blues' 42nd year in the playoffs. Missouri equals 42. San Jose Sharks equals 42. So, reason to believe they could get to 4-2 against them total on the season. San Jose is 3-2 against the Blues in playoff series. If they win, they'll be 4-2 as well. So anyhow, it is a, we got riddles going both ways, but the date numerology has been the best indicator in the playoffs. A lot more lines up for the Sharks through the date numerology. The biggest scare for the Sharks is becoming 2-5 away in St. Louis 25. That's the one thing that could haunt. But if I was going to take this game, since the Sharks are the underdog, I would take the Sharks to cover. So, fully expect it to be Joe Thornton versus old team. Again, the Sharks right now are 9-7 in the playoffs. The last game was blamed on Joe Thornton for screwing up at the end. His full name equals 97. He was drafted by the Bruins in 97, 22 years ago. Sharks 22, Boston 22. And those are the thoughts for hockey. In the MLB, if you go back, if you want to take the time to scan this, this is where the date numerology pattern. This was a date with 18 numerology. The day before this wasn't 17, but it's been 18, 19, 20, 21. Yesterday was 22. Almost all the 22 games came through. Today's 23. If you go back and look at all the games where it could have followed the date numerology, 18 on the 18 date, 19 on the 19 date, so on, it's been a very high percentage. So the Angels, who I thought, again, it looks like it's not looking good for them. They can pick up their 23rd loss and stay at 9 away wins. Game's not over, but I'm thinking the 23s are going to come through because the date numerology's been getting consistent with baseball, which is what it has been historically. We got in that wonky stretch of like 10 days where it wasn't coming through, but it looks like things are getting back on track. So if the Angels lose, big indicator there about 23. Orioles and Yankees have a one-day series, a doubleheader. Today has the 23-date numerology. Sweep equals 23. Big money on the Yankees. They're big favorites. If the Yankees win both, they'll get to 26 wins. Yankees 26. The Orioles will be 2-6 against the Yankees on the season. However, what's interesting is Andrew Kashner's pitching Game 2. His name equals 119. If the Orioles snuck out Game 1, they'd be 9-11, 119 in reverse, like Andrew Kashner 119. And if Kashner could get the win, their best pitcher, they'd be 10-11 away, kind of like 111, the big New York number. So, fun bet today. Oh, shoot. Well, we talked about it earlier, but by the time this is uploaded, it's already going to be after the start. Anyway, if you could get in a $5 parlay on the Orioles to win both, it would probably pay around $50. But the Yankees winning 2 makes a lot of sense as well. The Diamondbacks, if they lose today, they stay on 23 wins and 9 home wins on the 23 date, and Chris Archer would get his 59th career win on 59 date numerology. The line's 155 like the date, May 15th. Zach Greinke does equal 61. He could become 6-1. That's another thing to consider. But just that date numerology, even teams have even been sticking on the number a lot in this date numerology stretch that's been running the last week. So not always, still the less likely riddle. But again, 23 date, 23 the 9th prime, and Chris Archer going for his 59th win on the 59 date. Blue Jays and Giants. Let's see. Orioles and Yankees. There wasn't anything that jumped out with this Sean Anderson's getting his debut, major league debut. I didn't see anything that screamed out to me about it though. So, can the Orioles and Yankees doubleheader? The Cubs and Red Sox. The only thing that jumps out about this game, both of these pitchers are at 59 career wins, which is interesting. If the Cubs did win, they'd get their 11th win in their 19th away game. 19, the 8th prime, they could stay at 8 away losses. Like I said, though, that riddle, it hasn't been super great. It's probably like 60-65% of games are following that pattern. But it's about the only thing I can see that stands out on the surface. Cincinnati is the favorite, so Cubs would be a decent payout. The Nationals, if they won today, they'd get their 17th win on the 59 date, 59 the 17th prime. If the Mets lost, it's their 41st game of the season, the 13th prime. They could get their 13th away loss in their 41st game. They could theoretically also give the Nationals their 13th home loss, but 59 date. Washington equals 59, so Patrick Corbin's at 59 career wins too, which is interesting. Phillies, it's the 135th day of the year, the big Philadelphia number. City established on a date with 135 numerology. So many of their sports connect to 135. Bryce Harper joined the team 135 days after his birthday. If they won today, they'd get their 16th home win. Arrieta would become 5-3, kind of like 53, the 16th prime. Milwaukee, 53. So Phillies and 135, always interesting. Red Sox going for the 23rd win on the 23 date. They did the 11-8 thing, losing yesterday in their 19th home game. Stayed at 22 on the 22 date. Failed to give the Rockies their 22nd loss on the 22 date. Tigers can pick up the 23rd loss. Monster spread there. Tampa Bay Rays, if they lost to the Marlins today, they would be 13-6. Those prime numbers, 13 the 6th prime. It is the Rays' 41st game, the 13th prime as well. So they could stay at 13 away wins, get the 6th loss. You'd have all primes on the board, 41 games. If the Marlins split their next two, they'd be 11-31 and 7-17 at home. 31's the 11th prime, 17's the 7th prime. You see Chris Archer with the 17 strikeouts in 7 innings. One thing that could go against the Marlins, though, is the 17th home loss on the 59-date numerology. Cardinals can stay at 23 and 9 away wins on the 23-date. Rangers can pick up the 23rd loss. So the only thing that scares me about this game is it's the Royals' 43rd game, the 14th prime. They could get their 14th home loss as well. Padres with an upset would get the 23rd win of the season and stay at 9 away losses. So potential upset there with the Padres and the Dodgers. They'd also get their 13th away win in LA. LA 13. Last game of the series. So those are things that are jumping out to me. If I'm not mistaken, San Diego equals 43 as well. I'm just seeing the starting pitcher for the Dodgers. If he lost, he would be 4-3. So one other thing to consider there. And with regards to golf, Again, the PGA Championship starts tomorrow. It's normally in August. It was supposed to be the weekend that we said to watch out for the big false flag. They moved it to May for the first time. It's the PGA Championship. It begins 137 days after Tiger's birthday. The word champion equals 137. Tiger last won this course 17 years ago. Tiger equals 59, Woods 59, the 17th prime. And it's 115 days after Jack Nicklaus' birthday. His name equals 115. Tiger's attempting to do what only he and Jack Nicklaus have done before. Brooks Koepka tournament's going to end on his 17th day of his age. Again, there's a riddle tied together with these two men. Koepka could very well play well. We just saw the champion from 2017, the PGA champion, drop out at the beginning of the week, May 13th, 13/5, like 135. Tiger Woods 135. On that same day, you got the news story about the wrongful death lawsuit against Tiger Woods. The name of the man who died is named summed to 195. Kind of like 19/5, like May 19th, the day the PGA Championship concludes. So interesting that on that same day, the champion from 2017, emphasis on 17, dropped out with a wrist injury, and Tiger won it 17 years ago at this course. Ricky Fowler, the tournament's 154 days after his birthday, the Grand Slam number. You know, the riddle we're watching is Tiger for the Grand Slam. So you know, Ricky Fowler, he's played well at this course historically. I'd keep an eye on him. He could place. Another long shot that plays well at this course is Bubba Watson. What's interesting is the last day of the tournament, May 19th, 19/5, is 195 days after his birthday. He could be worth a small bet to place. He could have a great tournament. Got a nice birthday alignment. And Phil Mickelson, you know, he's down here at the bottom of the odds, and the tournament's going to end on his 337th day of his age, which is the 68th prime in golf, 68. So those are some of the things that jumped out to me about the other players. Be sure to just do a quick run through. Just run through and just, you know, give it a scan. Just measure from the birthdays. Run the gematria in the calculator. I mean, you can do it all yourself, and there might have been something I missed. But I really do like Tiger. I think it's his year. I think he's going to win at least 3 majors if he doesn't get the Grand Slam. And the championship seems to have been moved for him for the perfect alignment. The course name is Bethpage Black. Black, you know, Tiger was the black golfer that broke the barriers. Remember, he won the Masters on his 106th day of his age. Black equals 106, so those are the things that are jumping out to me. All right, we'll leave it there. Be back tomorrow, 9 a.m., noon Eastern. Good luck, Truth Seeker. Till next time.